Hello everyone, this is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations out of Flower Mound, Texas. Today I'm going to be sharing some alternates that I've made with the May 2022 paper pumpkin kit called Celebrating in Color. So thank you for joining me today, and if you're a subscriber of mine, thank you for subscribing. If you are new to my channel, I would really appreciate if you would subscribe and ring the bell for notifications of when I publish a new video. And as always, I love your comments uh, in the comments section below. And if you have any questions, I will read those and get back to you as soon as I can with any questions. So let me show you my alternates that I've made. So here are two of my alternates I've made. Give you a little close-up. And a close-up of this one. So the first one I did was this one. So let me show you what you need for that card. So for the components for this card, you obviously need a card base. And then out of the kit comes this card front piece with a circle that you punch out for the card as it's intended. So I wanted to use this circle, and that's what I've used from this. So this I will set aside back in the box for my next, to probably make the card as is. The other items you need is a 2-inch, this one's 2¼ inch circle, a little strip for your sentiment, and a envelope, one of the envelopes from the kit. So I wanted to show you what I do. So I trim a small section off the side, which I've shown in my unboxing video. Even if you want to see that video, check in my all my videos before. So I trimmed off the side and the top, and I'm sure I will be using this piece for another card. Anyway, I punched a 2-inch circle out of this top piece. Now, just a word of warning, I would go a little bit in so you don't get any of the glue gummy. But if you do, you could probably tuck it behind one of these. So just be careful when you're punching that circle out that you do not get where it would seal the envelope. If you do not have punches but have the layering circles dies, you could easily use either the 5th largest, which is 2 1/8 for the white, and 2 3/8 for the border of that. But I had punches, so I did a 2 1/4 here and a 2 1/2 punch of the Orchid Oasis to give that a nice border. So let me get started by showing you what else I did. So in our kit of stamps, we have this splatter stamp, and I've taken a lot of mine off and they're on blocks. But there's this little bitty splatter, and so I thought it would be fun to make our own background for this card. So for the card bases, you need, let me do my watch strap here, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 of Orchid Oasis cardstock, and then a 4-inch by 5 1/4 of white, stamping white, to make your background. So let me set these pieces aside, hopefully not lose them as I'm known to do in my videos. And I just want to show you kind of how I've stamped that background. I'm going to get out my foam mat, and in case you're wondering why, so photopolymer stamps do not have the foam on them like the red rubber stamps. So it's always good to have a little firm cushion to give a little pressure release on those stamps. And then I have a piece of the small grid paper. And let's get our Whisper White piece. And the two colors I've used are the new in colors Parakeet Party. For the new cases, you want to do them like a compact and slide them. And Orchid Oasis. And by the way, Paper Pumpkin has a great promotion going on for May. If you sign up as a new demonstrator, not only do you get $125 worth of products of your choice for $99, but you also get some in color product, which includes 5 full-size pads of the in colors and other products as well, which I will have on my blog, and I'll have a link to that in the details below of this video. And by the way, when you look below the video, there will be some details and there will be a show more button. So click on that button to see all of what I write after this video and for all the links. So let's get started. And so we're going to create this background using these 2 different colors. Now, since this is so small, rather than do one and clean it and one and clean it, I'm going to do several at a time. Just kind of randomly go around the card, leaving space for the Orchid Oasis. And you can either twist your card or twist your stamp as you go, just to get a random pattern going. And you also don't have to be too worried about doing the center, because all that's going to be covered up by these elements. And I see I've got a little speckle of the ribbon on my ink pad, so I'll just be mindful of that and clean it off later. See, I'll go off the side there. All right, so I'm going to clean on my chamois that's on the side here, and now I'm going to go in with the Orchid Oasis around the stamp. I love this color. It just bright and cheery. So we're going to have fun playing with these, I'm sure, over the next 2 years. Although we will miss our Misty Moonlight that just retired out of the kit, but we get fun new colors to replace them. Okay, I think I need one more there. Let me go off the side of some of these. All right, let me go in and add just a little more Parakeet Party right there. Okay, so we're going to call that done. Actually, I want to go off the edge a little bit here with Parakeet Party, and off the edge here in Orchid Oasis. Again, you can just make it till you like it. That looks too symmetrical, so I'll switch those up. Okay, so there we've created our own background for our card. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to put that on here. Now, if you so choose, you can punch this circle that we're going to mat our sentiment in out of this cardstock. So I think I'm going to do that. It's going to be covered on the card. I'm going to take my 2.5-inch punch. If you only have the dies, you could cut it out of the center as well and punch that out. Okay, so now we want to get our sentiment. Let me see if I can blow. Now I'm going to take a little piece of scrap paper and try to get that little piece of ribbon off my ink pad. There you go. Don't know where it went, but I think it's gone. Okay, so we want to stamp our sentiment. I have my 2.25-inch circle punch out of white in the U stamp that came in our kit. And I'm going to ink that up with the Orchid Oasis and stamp down. And I just give a few seconds for the ink to absorb into the paper to get a crisp image. And there you go. We clean that stamp. And then we want our little you can what? So I chose the you can do anything. And so if you're like me, when you trim your white cardstock down to card front centers, 4 inches and 4 inches, that leaves little strips that I save to use for sentiments like this. So I'm going to ink this up in Can do anything. Now we do have several of these in our kit, several little labels, but I'm just using this because it's what I have, and I'm sure I will use those others on other cards. I'll try not to get my head over the camera and stamp that straight down. Let's hope it's straight. See how I did? Well, I like it a little lower, more centered, so I'm going to try again. And I did better that time. So we're going to stick with that one. So I'm going to actually I can go ahead and put this on here so I don't lose it. So let's get out my Tombow liquid glue, which I have put into a thin needle bottle. And I love the Tombow because I can set this on here and wiggle it around. My punch is a little frayed. I may have to get out my sand eraser and get rid of that fraying. Okay, so that's there. Here's my base. Here's my fronts. Try to keep everything organized. Okay, so now I just need to trim this off. Get out my trimmer. I have a layered desktop, which I enjoy because I can put things underneath. Actually, we're done stamping, so let me close these. So we do not get ink all over everything. Okay. So get out our trimmer, and you just want to trim this. Now I did a flag on both sides, so I'm going to leave me room to make a flag. Is that enough room? Okay, so I'm going to hand do these flags. In the previous catalog, which just retired, which I'm kind of sad, was a tailored tags punch, which I would use to make my own flags. And so I thought I would just use scissors. Scissors will never discontinue, surely. Okay. Well, that one's not quite equal. Let me trim it some more. So always leave a little bit of space so you can get it how you like it. So there's our flagged ends. And then I like to sponge around the edges. As you can see, I did in this card. So I'm going to get my Parakeet Party back out. And what is retired are these sponges. Stampin' Up used to sell these. It's a full round sponge. Here's another piece. And I've just cut them up into smaller pieces to use for coloring. You could also use the sponge daubers or your own household sponge. But I'm going to just pick up just a little bit of ink and go around the edges of the label. And get the flag. And so that's how I created that. Again, that's an optional step. Don't feel like you have to do that. I just kind of liked it. And so the only piece I don't have for you is, just to save time, I'm not going to do that. I think I wanted to show you these other elements of the card. But I would glue this onto here, which I can go ahead and do. That little strand of ribbon likes to show up. I have glitter all over my bar. Now, I do like this ribbon. I'll show it to you in a second when we go to put it on our sentiment. Let's see, is that going to be... I think that's going to be better for covering up the spot. If you needed to, you could go back in and add some splatter after you start laying things on to see if you need to add some. All right, so that's going to go on there flat, as well as my 2-inch circle of this. Now when I punch this out, I also used some white scrap from the envelope and punched another 2-inch circle and glued them on top of each other. This paper, envelope paper, is much thinner than regular cardstock, so I just wanted to make sure when I ran it through the embossing folder that it would be thicker and not crack or anything. It may have been fine on its own, but that's just what I did. So then you're going to put that circle here, and then you're going to put this on dimensionals. But I want to show you a trick I do with my ribbon to save. So this is the new Orchid Oasis. What's it called? It doesn't say. It's just metallic ribbon. There we go. Metallic woven ribbon. And it's very easy to tie. You can see it bends easily. It's not stiff. And also, as you can see, I'm doing this to show you that the glitter does not come off. So you shouldn't have glitter all over. You may get little strands like I had of the other color going around, but it's a nice ribbon with nice shine to it. So a ribbon saving technique I do is, rather than put glue and try to wind it and mess with it to get it right, I always have trouble with that. So I just cheat and make my own. I make a little loop and cut it. There's one loop. Another loop. I should measure those, shouldn't I? Those are about 2 3/4, 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches long, and then little pieces like that. So what I do then is I create my loop, get my side. Actually, I want that a little apart. You know, I am going to do this with my double-sided adhesive. All right, so I can put those on there like that. And my little strand. And then do the same thing on the other side. I'll make my loop. Stick it to the back. And then my little strand. Where do I want it? On this side? Put it on that side. And if you're afraid that won't stay, you can always take Scotch tape and go on the back and add a little Scotch tape to the back. It looks like I barely got this one on the double-sided tape, so I'm going to tape that down. So there is my ribbon saving technique. And it looks like you have a whole spool behind there. All right, so this we're going to put on dimensionals. So I'm going to go ahead and put my dimensionals on. And I cut these in half. The big size dimensionals. All right, so we're building. I'm not going to take the backing off because I want to do my parakeet party label later. And this part has a little pattern up here, so I like it in the corner to not hide it. And then I felt like it needed something over here, so I used my bow punch that was new in the January through June mini catalog. And I really like this branch, and let me show you a trick. So it has 2 leaves on it. It's hard to see, I think, glaring. So there's a bigger leaf and a smaller little sprig, I call it. So what I do is I measure, okay, how big is this leaf? Because I just want that one. So I cut a strip that's about that long so that I can go in from the side and not waste a whole lot of paper getting the other sprig, which I really don't need. So I can then take that in there, punch it out, and there's my leaf for there. So let me know what you think about this card. And then of course we'll put it on a full card base. And again, I'm just going to save time. This was a 2-inch circle from the envelope. And I ran it through the embossing folder with the painted textures, which is optional. If you don't have that, I think it would look fine with just a solid piece. So that is my first alternate for this kit. And now let's go on to the second one. Let me clear this off a little bit. Okay, so my second alternate was this card here. And there's nothing really difficult about it, but here's what I used. So I used this from the kit. I've already punched out several, and I just used 2 of them. So you'll need to punch out. I did one that had gold and one that did not. You'll need a 3 1/8 by 3 1/8 square. And here's my 2 pieces, which I've already done some work on, and I'll explain that in a second. And then I did do a full panel of a painted texture embossing folder. Yes, I love texture on cards, so you will hardly see me have one just solid flat. But again, if you don't have this item and you only have items from the kit, you can just leave a blank card front and ignore that part. So I've already done this, and so what I need to explain is if you want to get this stitched square. So unfortunately, the Stylish Shapes dies, which I should have had out. I was hoping that that square would be big enough. They're brand new stitched dies of circles and squares and some flags, but it wasn't quite big enough for this happy sentiment. So I'm going to show you how you can make other size squares using your stitched rectangle dies. So let me get that out. Now, if you don't have a die cutting machine or these dies, it would be fine to just do a 3-inch by 3-inch square. But I wanted to make a stitched one for a little more detail. So let me explain something first. This is the brand new self-healing magnetic plate for your Big Shot. And unfortunately, the instructions that come when you buy this, it says to use your base plate 1, and then your thin die adapter, and then this plate. But actually, they've put out an announcement that that is wrong. You only need the base plate and this magnetic plate. And let me tell you, it is solid. It has a full solid stainless steel back. The whole surface is magnetic, as you can tell. It sticks to there all over, and it is self-healing. So I've only used it one time to make these squares. So anyway, I want to show you how I did this. So I made it just a little bigger than this rectangle stitch die, and this is the 3rd largest, by the way. There's some post-it tape. So I am going to do the post-it tape just to keep it on there square because I didn't leave much room for error. Then I'm going to put it down on my magnetic plate. Now when you run a straight surface through your Big Shots, you want to do them a little bit at an angle. It just helps go through more smoothly. So we're going to run this through, and we're not going to run it all the way through. We're going to stop about halfway. Got a little squeak. Okay, and then run it back. Okay, and then I'm going to tear off this edge just so I can feel better. Whoops. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to put the end where you want it to finish cutting that square. And as you feel, you can feel if it goes in the grooves of the stitching. It kind of just goes in there and doesn't move easily. That's how you can feel. So to me, that looks good. And so I'm going to turn this one this way. And again, just go about halfway through. I didn't go too far. I'm so used to running one all the way through. So there you have our stitched square. And the good thing is when I'm done, I can just set that there. Since it's magnetic, it's not going to get lost. And then I'll put my big shot away and I can put that die up when I'm done. So now we have this. And so I wanted to stamp the happy on it. And I love having the Stamparatus to do things like this. And so let me get mine out. Went hiding deep under there. And so yes, these stamps do, or this ink does stain the stamps a little bit, and it does not damage them. They're perfectly fine. Nothing to worry about. So a lot of people put a stamp case over here. You can also put your pierce mat just to give a little more support. Make it a little flat, ease of inking. So as you can see, I wanted to put my happy just a little bit higher on the card so I have room for my sentiment here. So I've already positioned this, and if you have a Stamparatus, I line this up about the 2 1/4 inch spacing. So you wouldn't want to, oh no, was it wet? You don't want to put your stamp here and then fold it here because it won't stamp as well against this hinge. So I always put it on the outside part of the Stamparatus to have lots of room for pressure. So let me get my basic gray, and the basic gray came in your kit. And this is something I supply to all my Paper Pumpkin subscribers, is a 1-inch square of the coordinating color. That way when you store your ink upside down, you know what that is. And I can show you my box. See, they're all upside down. And that's how I store mine. And that is an old clamshell case that our wood stamps used to come in. I'm just going to ink this up with basic gray. And stamp happy. Hopefully that covers up that spot. Okay, I'm happy with that. So one other tip I have for you. So this one, it's time to get a new one. But I always take the ink off with a paper towel or something and then go in with my chamois. It helps not get my chamois so inked up that I have to go clean it as often. I do go rinse them out once a day, but at least I'm not having to do it in between time. So that is our happy. I'm going to close that up, put that away. And then I'm sure I have another scrap of white for my card. Here they are. Okay, so I get these 11-inch long pieces. And for this time, I wanted to do this. This is To Have You in My Life, which is that one. And another one is To Celebrate Your Day. So this one I'm going to do To Celebrate Your Day. It is May, and have a lot of graduates. So this would be a great card to send out as a happy congratulations card to a graduate. So I'm going to get my grid paper again so I don't stamp on my mat. And I'm going to ink this up in the basic gray. Making sure I'm still on camera over there. All right, and I want to flag the right side. So, ooh, this one is skinny. Let's see if it's big enough. Oops, and I did it crooked. This is hard to do without getting my head directly over the top. So let me try again. I'll do this end. Get my head a little more over. If you see my hair, I apologize. Let's see how I did this time. Much better. So put that over there to clean. And then I need my trimmer back out. I'm sure I could probably just cut that with my scissors, but I want a straight cut, and I'm going to leave a little room to flag the end. Oops, the blade came out. Flagging your ends is optional always. You make these cards how you like them, but I hope you find some inspiration from this video. All right, so I'm going to make my own flag. Okay, looks good. So the other thing I did on this happy was I wanted to color it in to give this card a little more color. So I used the new Stampin' Blends of Parakeet Party. And another option, if you don't have this but just have the ink, is you could use a blender pen, which I'll just show you what that looks like. I have an old packaging of some, but they come in a pack of 3, and you can pick up ink and color with them. Now, if you're using just the regular thin white, you want to work fast because it is a liquid and it can peel up your paper. So just work really fast on that. But I'm going to use the blends, and on this one I just used all of the dark, but I want to see if I can get an ombre effect on this happy. So I'm going to start with the light. I'm going to use the bullet end just so I have a little more control. It looks about the same, but we will see. So I love the blends, how smooth they color in. You don't have to be an artist to get a nice look. Go a little bit above the H. All right, so now I'm going to get my dark and see if I can blend up. Get kind of an ombre effect. I'm seeing a little. I don't know if it's coming through on the card or not, but I'm seeing a little change of color. Okay, so what do you think? Do you like it more solid or a little ombre look? Let me know in the comments below. I would like to know how you guys like the cards and alternates. So that's all our coloring and stamping for this card. And let me show you how I put this together. So again, I used a full-size card front of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I took a 1 inch by 4 1/4 piece of the Parakeet Party cardstock to add a strip. I put this on dimensional, so I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensionals. And yes, be careful when you're working with your blends that you put something under your surface because they do bleed through. And I have misplaced my dimensionals. Always misplace something, but I have a whole box of them. So I'll just get out my other box. And I like to use these. I have some non-stick scissors and I like to cut these in half with. So I go this way with them. I believe these are from the Paper Pumpkin and their front is really shiny. Okay. So for bigger pieces like this, I do the corners. And then for support, I put a couple down the side, kind of more centered, just like 2. Okay, so I'm not going to peel that off yet. Okay, so then I took these two pieces from the kit. These were the elements in this that I showed earlier. So I took one that had gold and one that did not. Now these were a little longer, and I'll tell you what I did. So because I wanted them staggered, like this card, I trimmed off 1/4 of an inch off the one without gold and a 1/2 inch off the one with gold. And so I can see I did the opposite sides, and mainly because I didn't want to cut off any gold. And then I flagged these ends. So since my sentiment is on dimensionals, I'll also want my flags on dimensionals. I guess you wouldn't have to, but they kind of hang over. So I'm going to add dimensionals to these. You just don't have to go all the way down because that's going to hang over your happy label. And I took that off of one. Okay, and then because I wanted it to have a little sparkle, I accidentally took that off. I didn't want to stick it down yet. So you're going to line that up like that, like that. But I wanted a little more sparkle. I got to here, and so I thought, you know what, I'll add the parakeet party ribbon. And I did the same cheat to conserve ribbon again. So I took this and just trimmed a little, and trimmed a little, and then I glued it to the back of the happy. So I think this way you can line it up perfectly. I'm just going to do the Scotch tape this time. Kind of want to see if you are going to go off. I guess you could trim it later. That's a better way of looking at it. Oh, that one's a little bigger. You know what, I'll just trim it. Okay, and then I want to fray the ends. So just kind of pull them. There's all my little glitter I get on my table. All right, so you just want to eyeball this before you glue this down. Now, if your pieces end up a little bigger or whatever, I just put them on there. I don't worry about trying to trim it now. And I'm going to use my sample card as a cheat to see about where to put it. I'm going to bump it to the edge. And what I like to do is get that down and then stamp it on my desk, pushing down to see if it's flat. So I'll give it a little chance to dry and catch. While that's drying, let me show you what else you can do with your blends. So these are some Rhinestone Jewels. And so you can actually take your blends and color those. These were silver. Does that show up? And I colored it with the peacock blends so I could do that. So as you can see, this layer was a little bigger than that, and I just turn it upside down, take my snips, and go along the side to trim it. Oops, actually I got a little of the white. And so now it's exactly the same size. So let's go ahead and just put this one together. Take off all my backings. All right, and then I'm going to line this up with the parakeet party cardstock. Got some little glue pieces on there that rubbed off. Then I'm going to take my solid color banner, butt it up to the top of the card, And then the one with some gold specks. I'll overlap those just a little bit. No magic formula there. Whatever looks good to you. Okay, now on this one, I added some gold embellishments. In our kit came in color ones, and these are additional ones you can purchase through the online store. They're the 22 through 24 in color matte decorative dots. Or if you have the blends and you have some rhinestone jewels, you can add these. So I'm going to decide on that later. And oops, I got to put my other sentiment on. Sorry about that. Just get my glue back out. This I'm going to glue down, and I'm going to put a dimensional where it hangs off to support that label. Oops, no, I can't pick it up. There we go. So this could be birthday. Again, like I said, it could be graduation, retirement, anything you can be happy for someone's day of. So these are my alternates. Let me show the other one again, if I didn't put it too far away. So here's the other one completed, and we cheated because I didn't want this video to go too long. And also, you'll want to remember to add a little decoration to your envelopes. So on this one, I did splatter of just the parakeet, and on this card, I did splatter of the blue Orchid Oasis, actually, on this envelope. So give your envelopes a little pizzazz to make them more of a handmade card. So I hope you've enjoyed these alternates. Please let me know in the comments below what you think and if you plan on making these this way. And as I said, be sure to subscribe to my channel, as I will be posting more videos of alternates I make with this kit. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.